your own chocolate. It sounds silly, but I realised how English I sounded. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah and today I decided I'm going to do a fun little video of 14 things I wish I knew before I studied abroad in America. Just a quick disclaimer, everything I say is my own opinion. I don't mean to offend anyone. If it comes across offensive, I'm sorry, that's not my intentions. I absolutely loved my time in America and my time studying abroad and I wouldn't change it. But yeah, I'm just going to get on with the video of my 14 things. It's meant to be educational and slightly entertaining. You see me looking down and be looking at my iPad because that's where I have all the 14 things on. So the first thing I would say that I wish I knew before I studied abroad in America was the fact that I have to buy books. And I know for most people this sounds like common sense, but for me, I've never had to buy books before for my course. So it was a bit like, oh, okay, I now have to pay money to buy these kind of things. Cool. In the first semester, I managed to avoid it, but the second semester, I couldn't avoid it. So yeah, I had to pay for them. It wasn't too much. I didn't buy them outright. I decided I was going to rent them off Amazon. You can also do that on, I think, the site's called Chegg. You could do it from like Barnes and Nobles, which I believe was my local bookstore on campus. They do the renting scheme as well, which saves you quite a bit of money if it's possible, because I know some people spend a lot of money on one book. I know people who spent like $300 on one so-called book, and I say so-called book because it was actually just a wallet of pages they were given and then told to purchase a folder on top of that. It's ridiculous if you ask me, but it's something you have to bear in mind. And the next thing I wish I knew before studying abroad in America was like how pricey it all is. Now, don't get me wrong, I knew it would be an expensive experience. I just feel like I underestimated how expensive it was. I'm glad, like, obviously student finance provides you with funding if that's what you want, but I'm glad I worked before going, so I had my savings to use as well while I was over there. The next thing I have is to make the most of the school breaks. So you've got your fall break, Thanksgiving, spring break, but there's also like Martin Luther King Day kind of break. I was unaware that they take it off for school. I didn't know that. So I could have technically gone away somewhere, even if it was like a little weekend trip. I could have gone to DC or something, because that was at the point where Trump closed the government and I doubt there would have been that many tourists in DC. So it would have been a great time to do it, but I was completely unaware that you guys take that off. The next thing I wish I knew is like how pricey it is to travel. Obviously I didn't expect it to be Europe prices, but obviously it's definitely not Europe prices, because Europe has like the different connections, whereas yeah, you got the budget airlines over there, but it's still considerably pricier, so I'd say make sure you do your planning properly. The next one I have on the list is bring your own chocolate. It sounds silly, but when I went over there, I initially thought, okay, it's America, the chocolate's gonna be good, the sweets are gonna be good. The chocolate was not good. I can't really chat for the sweets because I didn't really have a lot of sweets necessarily. I'm definitely more of a chocolate person than I am a sweets person, and the chocolate just wasn't it. I had to get family to send me over chocolate because the chocolate there just wasn't it. And in the second semester, I brought over my own. The next one, I'm not sure if it's just the fact that I'm from London why it was a slight problem for me. Things close very early in Charleston, in my opinion. Closing at 10 o'clock is early for me. I'm just used to being able to, I can go out at most hours and still have something to do, or most things will be open, you know what I mean? Like, but it's a little thing. That's just one thing for me that was a bit, okay. Walgreens was open 24/7, so that's a good thing. If you want to like grab anything last minute in the middle of the night or whatever, you could do that, and that was fine. I didn't club, so I can't speak on nightclubs. What I know is they did close early. From what I heard, they closed pretty early from what I'm accustomed to, but I'm not really a clubbing kind of person, so I can't really talk too much on that. The next one is, I wish I knew how often people would comment on my accent. Obviously, when you go abroad and you go to another country, I mean, America speaks English, well, American English, so you're going to hear slight differences anyway. I didn't realize how English I sounded until I went over there, because here I don't hear it too much. But yeah, when I say like the accent being brought up, at first, obviously, when I first actually got over there, you get people asking me to say certain things, saying they like my accent. Don't get me wrong, I have no problem with it. I appreciate it, it's very nice. The thing that I don't like is, and I get it over here as well, so it's not even just an American thing, to be honest, but when you get that forceful, when someone's like, no, you're saying it wrong, you're not saying it this way, no, I'm saying it wrong to you, like in terms of how you pronounce things, but with how I pronounce things, this is the correct way, kind of thing. So if I said, oh, I'm going to CVS to pick up my vitamin C tablets. So I say vitamin, they say vitamin, and instead of being like, okay, cool, like, you know, see you later, it'd be like, oh, okay, cool, see you later, have fun picking up your vitamin tablets. And I'm like, I don't have a problem with that, because obviously that's how you pronounce it. I'm like, cool, yeah, I'm gonna pick up the vitamin tablets. And they'll be like, yeah, you mean vitamin. And I'm like, is that so? Because if I meant that, I would have said that. And I'm also, the kind of way I see it though is as well, if you understood what I said, why were you even having this discussion? I kind of feel like it's unnecessary. I'm like, you got what I was telling you, so what's the issue? You know, but maybe that's just me being me, because that's just kind of how I am. I do the same thing in the UK. If you got what I'm saying, don't even discuss this with me. Like, really. The next thing is, time flies by very fast. You go there, and at times it does feel like you just got there. So when I first got there initially, and then next thing I turn around, it's coming up closer to Christmas, I was like, but I just arrived. I arrived in August, and then by November I was like, how is it already November? This time is flying by. It's crazy. But then I will say though, towards the end, once you've been there, I think when you're there for a semester, it definitely feels like time has flown by and you want more time. But I feel like once you've been away for a year, sometimes you're either like, okay, get me home. Because I was kind of like, after a while, I was like, all right, cool, seen it, nice, bye, kind of thing. But then like, there's just points, you know, where you're like, oh, I wish I did this. Like, I wish I took more photos. I wish I got like videos of my time there. I just wish I did those kind of things. So time flies, be aware of that. Another big thing, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my original study abroad video. I mentioned that there's more than just midterms and finals. See, when I think of American schools, I think, okay, they got to do these midterm exams, they got to do these final exams, and then that's kind of it. I was unaware that you get regular homework. In the UK, we don't get regular homework like that for university. In university, it's typically, like, I don't want to say completely independent study, but it's pretty much independent study, and you gotta, you know, you have this assignment that you gotta prepare for, and then you do your assignment at home, and then boom, that's it kind of thing. You don't get regular homework, which is also a good thing that they gave us regular homework, because then it meant you were aware of like where you were and what you needed to revise for the exam. But it was just a bit annoying because it was like so frequent, and because I'm not accustomed to it, it felt like a lot. It was just a lot going on. But on the plus side, it did help me prepare myself for my final year of studies, so that was great help there. There's also pop-up quizzes, so you have to be aware of that. Make sure you're always on top of your reading, because you don't want to get in a class and the pop-up quiz up on you, and the quizzes do count towards your grade. Speaking of grade as well, I would advise you do what's it called, the extra credit stuff. Do that as well, because sometimes if you don't do extra credit, you don't make even the bare minimum. So yeah, do the extra credit opportunities when they come about. The other thing I have is that, with assignments, this one's not mine, but like when it comes with assignments, try and use American-based sources, because I had a friend where there was an occasion where in one of their assignments they used, I believe it was like a European source, and it was like the same stuff, it was just a good comparison, and they're basically scolded for it. So I don't know if that's an American thing in general, but I think it's just something to kind of be wary of, like, because over here, unless you've been specified not to use certain sources, you kind of have, you know, the option to do what you wish. So that's something I would be aware of before going over. Yeah, another one I would say is currency. Don't worry about the currency too much. For me, when I was going over that, I was like, oh, how am I going to learn the currency? How am I going to learn it? I didn't bother. Honestly, I didn't bother after a while, because it got to a point where I would open like my purse and be like, oh, I'm rich, and then realize I've only got like $1 in there because they're all green, and I thought I was balling when I wasn't. But yeah, it's sad. So I think just use a card. Use a card a lot, and that leads me on to my next one, where I used a Caxton card. So it's like a travel card, and it holds all the different currencies from different places on there. So I had that card, and because I decided I didn't want to open a bank account over there, just for my own personal reasons, I just didn't want to have to go through all of that. And because I like to travel a lot, I thought it makes sense to get a travel card now rather than later. So I did that. But other people who got bank accounts, a friend of mine told me about their experience where they were shutting off their, like, closing their bank account. You have to give it, I believe, 2 weeks with like no transactions going through the account. The bank has to be completely clear, like, the account. And what happened was within that 2-week period of closing, a transaction went through that was unexpected. They then had to put money into it, like into the account, to clear that transaction, and then obviously that restarted the 2-week period, and so on and so forth. So then they got like a pricier and longer process, so be aware of that. For them, it became annoying because even when we came back to the UK, they then had to make international calls to try and close the account, and it just became expensive. So definitely do your research on that and figure that out. Talking of about that, just one other point. I'm pretty sure I've gone over 14 now, but one last point is when it comes to phones, I just kept my phone contract I have here in the UK and just got it added on that I could use my phone in America. Other people got SIMs. I did get a SIM, but for me it was a waste of money. I didn't need a SIM. I never used the SIM. So if you can just get an add-on onto your original contract, then do so. Don't bother going through the whole process of opening another account for your phone. But yeah, those are all my 14 things. Sorry, I lost a little track of after a while. I'm just double checking I said everything I meant to say. But yeah, those are 14 things I wish I knew before I went to America. As I said before at the start, this is all my personal opinion. I don't mean to offend anyone. If anyone was offended, I'm sorry. Those were not my intentions. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.